all of this? Watch.
He is a distinguished Muslim cleric. We do have a program whereby we through our Educational and Cultural Affairs Bureau here at the State Department, we send people from Muslim communities here in this country, around the world, to help people overseas understand. Did
you know we did that, Oscar?
Our society and the role of religion.
Did you know that,
within
Jack?
our society?
No, I didn't know that. Did you know we were doing that? That's it. And he's a moderate Muslim. That's weird, because you wouldn't know it by reading Time magazine. Here's the other thing on the board. Time magazine, here I am, okay? I'm a madman. Madman, is Glenn Beck bad for America? Time magazine article on me. Here's the Time magazine article on the new imam. The moderate imam behind the Ground Zero Mosque. Madman, good guy. Madman, good guy. Now, what did this moderate say just a few days after 9/11? Well, of course, what all moderates would say. Quote, I wouldn't say that the United States deserved what happened, but United States policies were an accessory to the crime that did happen. Oh. Now, let me ask you this. Would a moderate imam, a peaceful Muslim, employ another imam who told an Arabic language website that, quote, only the Jews could have perpetrated the 9/11 attack? Well, that kind of sounds like Jeremiah Wright, doesn't it? And that if Americans only knew that it was the Jews' fault, they, quote, would have done to Jews what Hitler did, end quote. And that Jews, quote, disseminate corruption in the land and spread heresy, homosexuality, alcoholism, and drugs. Oh, well, that's the kind of moderate imam I've been looking for right there at Ground Zero. How about you? Would I'd have to ask Time magazine, the Muslim leader right-wing commentators fantasize about, would that guy refuse to denounce Hamas as a terrorist organization? No? Well, he did. In fact, he did all of those things. And the Hamas thing really makes sense. You see, Hamas, remember back here? Where's Hamas? He gave money here. There's Hamas. See, it's in the food chain. Okay, so, not denouncing Hamas. Former radical David Horowitz says that's the fastest way to find out who you're dealing with. Watch.
Will you condemn Hamas here and now?
I'm sorry, what?
Will you condemn Hamas?
Would I condemn Hamas?
As a terrorist genocidal organization?
Are you asking me to put myself on a cross?
No.
So you won't?
Yeah. No. And she went on and talked about how the Jews are really responsible. It was great. Now, here's what a real moderate Muslim sounds like. This is from Bill O'Reilly's program last night. Watch this.
How does building a mosque in the very place where Muslims murdered so many other Americans would create any kind of respect? What I'm hearing from people, especially those who are victims and who are family of the victims, is that this is very hurtful and it's very painful. And as a Muslim, I read in my holy book, the Quran, that we should be very sensitive towards people of other faiths, especially when we are living in lands that are not Muslim lands, and these are our neighbors and our colleagues and the people we care about. We don't show our caring for them by being intolerant. Building a mosque or a place of worship in the particular spot across the street from Ground Zero is a slap in the face of all Americans. I can't begin to imagine how they would even conceive an idea that building a mosque there, which is an exclusive place of prayer for Muslims, would in any way build tolerance and respect.
Yeah. If she wants to build a mosque at Ground Zero, I'm in. In fact, I have my wallet on me and a credit card. I'll go ahead and make a donation. You see, there are moderate Muslims. She's obviously one of them. She realizes building a mosque next to Ground Zero, having Rauf headed up, yeah, there he is. Bad idea for Muslims. This doesn't help any way, shape, or form. Common sense tells you this doesn't work. And if anyone in this country was still applying common sense, well, you'd know that. And I'll show you how they'd proceed with the Ground Zero Mosque next. What do you say we just try a little common sense? Just from time to time, when we're talking about the Ground Zero Mosque, let's try it on. Put the thinking cap on. A little later, I'm going to share an idea one of my Fox colleagues has. I'm not sure if he's serious or not. Stick around. You don't want to miss that. But first, here are the things that common sense tells us that we should do. 1, put a hold on the construction and planning on this. Stop until a full vetting is completed. Find out a little bit more about Rauf and his involvement with the flotilla. Look, if it's being built by the woman on O'Reilly's show, great, build it. This guy doesn't pass the smell test. Something's not right. Find out why it's going to be next to Ground Zero, because I bet these two are related. Find out why they wanted to open it on 9/11. They've since emailed us and said, well, that's not going to happen. Was it going to? Because that was never a good idea. 4, stop with the government Muslim outreach programs. Okay? I'm tired of it. I don't care what the rest of the world... I don't really care. I don't care. You can send people over there. We're going to have NASA go over to Muslim nations and tell them how smart they used to be. What is that? 5, acknowledge that terror actually exists. Oh yeah, it exists. It exists in many different forms. That's terror. There are environmental terrorists like ELF and ALF. There are economic terrorists. Yeah. Somebody that would force you to do something you didn't want to do by scaring you. Like Congress. Like Congress when they pull people up. You remember Maxine Waters when she said, I'll tell you what this liberal's going to do. This liberal's going to take your country. Remember that? That's kind of an economic terrorist right there. You see, terrorism in its broadest form is just designed to scare you into changing your way of life. Because they know, well, for instance, Maxine Waters knows, you can't defeat the free market system. So you have to scare it. Yeah, control it. You can't defeat things. You can't defeat America militarily. So you have to change its behavior. We learned after 9/11 the best way to defeat terrorism, and that is, don't be afraid. Don't really care. The Times Square bomber, that's just down the street from here. Are New Yorkers concerned about that? Yeah. Are New Yorkers changing the way they're living? Nope. Be easy to blow something up here. It would be. But any terrorist that comes here, or I think any place in the country, ought to know one thing. You're blowing yourselves up for nothing. You're not going to get the virgins, okay? And you're also not going to change us. You probably heard the phrase, don't give up the ship. Do you know where it's from? So when we were still fighting the British in the War of 1812, American naval officer James Lawrence, he was facing the British. I mean, they didn't suck on the seas. Well, he had a crew that was less, that he had, only trained for about 2 weeks. And the British ship had been together for 7 years. That's kind of an important thing. They were losing their butt. And Captain Lawrence gave his last command. He's there he looked a little like David Buckner laying here on the floor going, oh, and he gave his last command, and it was, don't give up the ship, fight until she sinks. It took less than an hour for the British ship to sink that ship and win the battle. Lawrence died. Lawrence died. But when Officer Oliver Hazard Perry heard the news, he ordered something to be made. And here it is. And if I can get it down, there it is. It's a flag. Don't give up the ship. They flew it for a while. Flag was displayed on the flagship during the engagement against the British later that year. Oh, and they won that one. So what can we take from this? Don't give up the ship. You might lose the ship. You might lose a battle here or there. You might not. But you better keep standing. Unless you stand up and vow not to lose the ship. Even if you lose the battle. Remember what the phrase means. A year later, they went on and won the war. You know what's really interesting? This whole battle that we're having right now, been fought before, this whole battle, we know how it's going to end. We've already won. We're just choosing sides now. Refuse to give up the ship. All right. I'm a little confused tonight. Because I thought we were told that the economy was fixed. I mean, if not fixed, certainly it was saved. Watch.
We have pulled the economy back from the brink. We took difficult and, frankly, unpopular steps to pull them back from the brink.
Everyone knows we've been brought back from the brink. We have pulled us back from the brink. We have made genuine success.
When you bring it back from the brink, then what happens? I mean, is George Bush still behind the curtain, you know, pulling us back to, excuse me, I have the hiccups, I've had them all day, back from the brink of disaster? Because we seem to be dangling on the precipice yet again. Consumers have no confidence in the economy. Job worries drove July consumer confidence level to the lowest. This is going to be ridiculous. The lowest since February. Today we learned that the Fed has downgraded their economic outlook. We lost another 131,000 jobs last month. After Obama bragged about stopping the hemorrhaging, the number of Americans on food stamps have hit an all-time high. Yeah. Look at the chart by the Heritage Foundation. The president pledged to create 3.5 million jobs by 2010. That would put us at 137.8 million jobs. What is the actual amount? Where is it? There. Ooh. Based on the July 2010 numbers, that leaves a deficit, don't worry, only about 7.6 million jobs. Plus, the administration's highest profile economic officials, other than Tim Geithner, Peter Orszag, Christina Romer, they both resigned. Yeah. They're out of here. The administration's only response to the massive unemployment seems to be, hey, to keep people on unemployment lines, we got to keep them, you know, their benefits going longer. Really? Nancy Pelosi actually made the point that unemployment payments stimulate the economy. Here she is.
It creates jobs faster than almost any other initiative you can name.
It creates jobs faster. Have you ever worked for a guy who was saying, hang on just a second, I'm going to pay you out of my unemployment check. I just have to cash it first. This is a theory that government gives people money so that they buy things. Yeah, except where does that money come from? You. Now here's the latest. Fannie and Freddie are now on perpetual government assistance, and when they blow through the cash, you know, that we gave them, they just come back and say, I need more. They now loan out more of your money back to you, and then they run out, and then they take your money so they can loan more of your money back. It doesn't really work. To progressives like Barack Obama and Nancy Pelosi, the system is better than trickle-down economics. Oh, yeah, they've been telling us since Reagan. Oh, that Reagan thing didn't work. Here's their version of trickle-down economics, okay? This is the way they tell you it works. Here's the fat, rich monopoly guy who buys a yacht with all of his cash. And then he sails to Europe, where he keeps it docked to avoid taxes. And then he stays there in the south of France or Spain, some exotic place. That's where he spends all of his money, so you get none of his evil fat cat money, ever. It never trickles down to you. So what the government has said is that's where they come in. They got to step in. The government has to take the money from the monopoly guy and give it to you. So these move down here, which equals him. You're happy because you have all the money. You also received all the free money. So you'll joyfully vote for these people who took the monocled millionaire's dough and gave it to you. Doesn't matter if he's happy or not. He's evil. He's a fat cat. Look at him. Look at him. How much does one guy really need? Did he need all of this? That's the world of economics according to the progressives. But that's not the real world. I'll show you the real world next.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, and that means happy hour. New shirt? Check. Deodorant on? Check. Pockets filled with Altoids? Check. And that dorky guy from digital sales volunteered to be the designated driver. So it's time to get your groove on. But wait, you forgot the most important thing. Who is the designated DVR programmer? You can't miss Beck. You've got a way better chance of getting that hot chick from accounting to come over if you tell her that a large pizza and Glenn Beck are waiting. So set it and forget it. DVR now, and don't let happy hour stop you from your daily dose of Beck.